Hello, America. This is about how to make America great again, which is the native way, is the only way. In many pray, vaccines, but no one can fathom this way because everyone is speaking through other people, other than things, and other and selves. And this is where the originally it's still a breaching method made everyone standing criminal and seditious natures. So with everyone speaking through other things, others, and selves, was self-valued all victim roles, blaming the real causes of negative value, nature, progressions, acts, and natures, other things, others, and self, and then defending those positions of fact treatment nature, of premises treatments, of sequence treatments, originally and still in self-defeating ways. So, legislation, for example, is about how to force the locations, areas, and states of modern nations by not blaming the wrong things, others and ourselves, but blaming the actual, what is true always, not denying exceptions where they have been denying them anyway. That is evidence. So then you see discern how we have evidence reception processes criminally foreign influence, but it's not sourced by one. And the importance of understanding and discerning where and how everyone is blaming other things, others, themselves for negative value nature progressions, action natures, for example, intersciences, and not relied upon by everyone's opinion nature that's naive, that is like, you know, not proper, not proper. We have improper things that people shouldn't have to counter. We have states, we have locations, areas, states, sciences, all database relationships criminally forward influenced. You can't legalize it, but it was legalized. We have legalized criminal and seditious nature of positive treatments per positive of what is a premise. Is it positive or negative, true or not? Is it true all the time, or is it differentially true? See, those natures of truths and the way to alter truth, it has the identity of value progression. That is one that all identities of value progression share individually grouped in together. That is one that can be discerned with a distinct, non-distinct, and simultaneous identity of relationship to itself and the value of that. Also has three identities of sequence nature. For example, birth and death and what is active here. Three identities of sequence nature. It's way more extensive than that. See, but we have basic, simple truths like that. Prevented free speech offensively, simultaneously standing victim predators of sciences, of religion, stewards, so self-valued by the arguments that are pretending other. For example, when people say, you know how it's unnatural for there to be slavery, it was unnatural for there to be slavery laws. Then some clown always jumps in and says, well, if it was unnatural, why would it be? It was only natural through reactions to criminal insidious nature that no one understood, so they self-valued roles with it. They uses of it as fact-driven nature. So they couldn't stand free speech. A steward today who is mandated to teach about Jim Crow laws. They are forced to teach about what they are incapable of teaching about because they're as victim predators, not because it's too complicated, because they can't stand having discerned all that is discernible with sequence truth, the order of the finite value true honestly, simultaneously the order of what is active. quality of fact, human nature cared about simultaneously, honestly, and progressive and identities, actual course. I'll drop the force. It surges through all things alone. So there are proofs that the stewards of modern religions are victims, but as victim predators. Per how the same way the branches of government are victims, but victim predators. The same way the sciences are, from off these locations originally, and still further and further off them in layers more to keep what is manifest that lie progressions further and further to all locations already used by the breaching method. They already made Native Americans A through Z. Already before that, it made nations A through Z, modern nations A through Z, be fake identities, suits and ties, whatever equivalent, blaming other things, others, and selves for the real cause of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, for the real causes of the insidiousness of nations individually grouped and together since some ancient times. All science is tactically ulterior from the one that is appreciating this identity of value progression the sciences share, and its identity of relationship to itself they share, and the value of that they share twofolds further, discernibly, bonded now as value now. Death is value now because it is a demonstration of an identity of forever nature that is also us now, active. It is also the identity of sequence nature, true before we came. All trained vaccines. So you have to allow freedom of speech to use aggression, to counter, interbranch fake aggression. Now, that is many jobs. They have many people with opinions, offensively predatory online, offensively pretending to be about integrity by acting, uses of passions, emotions dishonestly, self-valuing that only having been perceived through criminally foreign influence locations, areas, states, and sciences originally instilled. Religion, Phil, all trained. The legion was once native pure. That way, to a gain. So the ancient gaming system is about it's a pantheism game. So we all own it. We all own these means when we redeems. It is evidence that and how yin yang was never conceived as a religion, and where and how it is five identities of sequence nature. I learned this by learning English. So I didn't read that about yin yang, but who could deny it would have to also use physically, have to value with their argument in denial. They would have to value criminally foreign influence premises treatments, criminally foreign influence sequence treatments. These are five. There are five bonded identities of sequence nature. Sequence true before matter, as the value to the order of the finite, as the value that is active, as the value of the progressive, which is value now, and as identity's complete course. Vaccines of source alone. The sciences share an identity. The sports share an identity. Its identity of relationship to itself and the value of that twofolds further. Here means appear. That means appear. So Ulu legislation is where and how, for example, Interbranch actually recorded our roles with child abuses, our roles with uses of their kids, even to hide the life progressions. to hide their uses of pseudo-positive as criminal and seditious natures of positive treatments in relationship to their answers to questions, their sense and sensibilities, in relationship to the awareness of each age of fact treatment nature, in relationship to what the concepts they bring up and speak. They never had integrity originally and still are branches of government, other nations at the same time. So they self-value that. They self-value war where it counts. Here, where we have quality of fact treatment nature, invisible but still discernible. Before war can be, before war is even needed. War was engineered as one of many things to keep each modern nation blaming other things other than themselves for what really kept and keeps each nation, each group nations, each nation's grouped and altogether criminally foreign influenced self-valued roles as those styles of fact treatment nature as criminal seditious natures, wrongdoers, styles pretending to be about integrity otherwise, pretending they could speak for the religions otherwise. I mean, anyway, pretending they could speak for the, regardless of what is actually recorded, which demonstrates other. That's the identity that leads pantheism. What is true always, and not denying the slightest exception, and not valuing them denied. Each branch has lied and long. Each science too. I tell it true. MA.G.A. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Anthony Wall. It's Romulus though, but this is also Romulus science. You'll see. YouTube.com/user/Romulus Wall. My name is Anthony Wall, but this is Romulus science, as we'll discern. So please all learn MA.G.A. It tells us things. So Connecticut interbranch leadership and recorded, confessed, and demonstrated self-valued roles with each uses of each identity of the industry, each identity of the ground location, each Connecticut boxing gym, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, used, for example, to hide Connecticut interbranch crime acts roles in cases and outside of the courts. Their roles with their policing interbranch, from a director of the FBI down. A whole bunch of FBI agents, CIA agents, their family members, federal criminals, overt criminal enterprises, and private ones recorded how kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, finite lies, active lies, progressive lies, identity thefts, frauds, and racketeering lies, uses of the identities of jobs, of titles of locations, worthless, worse than worthless originally and still. Self-valued roles with an identity of negative value, nature, of progression that modern nations are in and as, and are effectively forcing everyone to blame the real causes of its roles with the real causes of negative value, nature, progressions, acts, and natures. Blame the other things other than themselves, and that long having been defended as well as premises treatments, as treatments of American history, of treatments of the sciences, self-valued, criminally foreign influenced. Now self-valued through other motivations. See, we have locations, areas, and states employed criminally foreign influenced, originally and still. This is what America is about. This is what modern nations' histories are about. That which came before, entrenched, that method to it. So follow mandated law. Connecticut interbranch. The Connecticut courts and police, for example, grouped. They used individually and grouped. They're each individually of each branch, grouped each group difference, and all together they have crime methods distinct to that branch. Their crime natures distinct to that branch. There are also grouped methods and crime and all together, like with the political branch, like with their uses of Facebook, the Facebook guy, Mr. Zimmerman. They use him to lie with them about what is actually recorded over Facebook. They pretend passions and emotions in backgrounds because they have to hide sequence shifts, illusions with predicate acts like mail crimes, wire crimes. People retired and standing that were worse than worthless. Again, because we're in an identitative negative value progression. Has nothing to do with markets originally and still employed criminally foreign influence. This is release for all. So, legislation. Woo! We need a button to press on online platforms where they're lying with the platforms themselves because they're being coached to it. Congress had no right to go right through the Obama administration with the people from Central Connecticut State University recorded crimes with child offenders with them of juxtaposed natures of child abuses, as ones simultaneously that were and are involved with elderly abuses of VA. I don't care about their opinions. Let's stay with what is true always, not deny exceptions. Let's have our free speech, and let's get their uses of. They also use media to stack fake words attached to people, attaching them to fake locations, fake ties to other people, forcing them to pretend sustained lies, increasing lies in sustained ways. They're preventing mandated law. Ooh! They have the Facebook pages interbranch and intercampuses further involved with a pattern of predicate acts, mail crimes and wire crimes, uses of the phones of the campuses, in conjunction with the stewards of the Facebook pages of Connecticut interbranch and intercampuses, as these people further involved, as ones involved with predicate acts with people leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context, with the Ninth Circuit Court right next to it. They were involved with, since proven, post dating of documents that had been on time, time stamped on time into the court, hand delivered, time stamped on time, proven after. Someone insidiously from inside the Ninth Circuit Court, right next to the World Trade Center attacks towers, they post dated the documents from inside the court to appear late to the panel of judges, which they did, and they ruled it was late. That was proven afterwards. Then, right after, excuse me, they proved it was, they ruled it was late, and then the World Trade Center attacks, the World Trade Center towers were hit and were taken out. As the people involved with predicate acts actually recorded on child campuses that were connected to ones also orchestrated on off Connecticut colleges and universities and fire department campuses simultaneously, and other private database relationships simultaneously. So originally and still, when they had crazy laws like slavery, these were database relationships before computers, since before computers. These were laws against everyone, what they could say and think and speak. That were everyone used remotely since before computer definitions of that. This is again effectively having made nations A through Z blame other things other than self for the real cause of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. It effectively forced Native Americans only capable of blaming other things other than themselves for the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, then defending that they could not, and we can't. If we defend, our people can't defend. They can't stand science's actual means by us with sequence true, the order of the finite true, order what is active true, active value. They have to have value as a semi-nature, as criminal and ceaseless natures takes on positive that are abridged, constitution, self-valued, breaching roles employed, breaching natures employed. See criminal and ceaseless nature. Not a lawyer. The bar itself is criminally foreign influence originally still. It is recorded how they have the sensibilities of lawyers like a Trantolo and Trantolo, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with other branches of government, sick with the lawyers. They're involved with wire crime methods and mail crime methods. They know they have no integrity to have one case. They can't go to work tomorrow. The other nations are the same sick thing. That's why they have to go to work tomorrow anyway. You may pray. Have them follow woo. We need woo legislation. We need federal stewardships of Connecticut right now. I have rights for us all now, for the Attorney General too, to sweep Connecticut clean. They were asked many times to fix their predicate acts and uses of a former Governor Malloy's sensibilities. No, for this. New York, former Governor Malloy is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated also by people associated with Hartford Hospital, involved with racketeering acts with child sex offenders and with agencies with their family members further involved with this. Now, don't try to attach me to this Scalora family, and if I want to know where they live, because Weathersfield, well, let's get the rest of these people. Let's get them to respond to me. Pick one name in sequence. Connecticut courts have been forging names and switching names and sequence shifting on and off their locations with people that affected the sequence shift from inside the Ninth Circuit right before the Trade Center attack was taken, right before the Trade Center towers were taken down in that Ninth Circuit court right next to them. I believe it's exclusively an appeals court. Now we also have the local courts and on off the state Connecticut judicial branch offices with dozens of people, male and female, are further involved, also with crimes with black and white, and with sequence with racketeering with databases, crimes with children, also intermilitary, also as a pattern of people on and off Two-Rod Highway, and where it runs into Hangdog Lane, and this is where it runs into the Burlington Turnpike before the heart of Hartford, Connecticut, also. As people further involved with predicate acts, with judges and with prosecutors, with Sandy Hook families, recorded and involved crimes with the principal sex offenders campus in my town, Weathersfield, Connecticut. Note where George Washington had to come right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War and leave slavery overt with color, even. In the North, right between New York and Boston, still had slavery in the North. Our founders didn't have free speech. There was a database tied, entrenched method that makes and keeps all sciences, all database relationships further and further life progressions to all areas, located self-valued roles with what is insidious right there. Fake care, fake aggression, and just totally made up things. Self-value, all bonded. We have misprision identities used remotely to keep that happening, keep that self-value. So all the identities of each court are involved with each location they already lied about. Each person's value they already lied about. Sequence they already lied about. Other nations do the same thing. So the sick natures, while they have weapons, they're here and there. No one knows each identity of the ground location here and there. Each state criminally foreign influenced. What are they going to let a president pretend? Nothing other. Free speech. CT is breach. Yes. Ooh.